We going?
Hi all, it's Karen and
Pluto.
here for Karen
guess
and
we're rolling.
Blutoons.
Karen Boons.
You screwed me up. Karen
Sorry.
and Blutoons, another review channel, another movie review. We're getting kind of tired of doing these because
Last one.
we're doing a few, and
I'm tired
you're tired because you didn't watch these last couple I've been doing.
and hungry.
Well, dinner, we got about another hour.
Cool.
So this one I'm going to review with you guys tonight is Escape Room. It's rated PG-13 from 2019. It was an hour and 39 minutes.
Why is it only 13?
Because we don't make rated R horror movies anymore.
That's why I don't watch them.
So, I kind of wanted to see this because back right before Christmas, my department at work did an escape room as part of our department Christmas party. Had a total blast doing it. And I'm the one who figured out the final clue for us to escape.
Come on.
I figured out several things.
Whoops. I'm going to fall asleep.
Okay.
Come on.
So basically, the beginning of the movie starts with kind of something that happens towards the end. Is there's a this guy in this room that fell through a ceiling. The room's starting to shrink. He's trying to figure out how to escape, and we assume he gets crushed to death.
Is this supposed to be like Saw or something?
I think a little bit like it.
Oh.
I mean, it was kind of... I'll get into that later. So It goes back. It's Chicago, Illinois, 3 days earlier. And we meet our main characters, Zoe, Josh, and Ben. And we figure out it was Ben that fell into this room that at the beginning of the movie. But we go to this college campus. It's Zoe in this quantum physics class, and it's coming up on Thanksgiving break. Zoe's talking to the professor. He's asking her, like, what are you doing for Thanksgiving break? And she's like, oh, nothing. You know, I'm just going to be staying on campus. And he's telling her, you know, you need to get out more. You need to experience things. He goes, I'm going to give you an assignment to do one thing that scares you over break that's outside your normal world. Then it cuts away to Jason, who's this stockbroker, like high-end trading and everything else. Kind of going on about stuff. And then we go to the grocery store where Ben works. And Ben, he works like in the stocking area or whatever. And
he's a stalker.
Stocking shelves, like pricing stuff that comes in, inventory and that. And he kind of talks about how he would like, he heard there's an opening out front. He would like to move up because he could really use the money. And his manager says, no, it'd be bad for business. And Ben's, because I guess Ben is an alcoholic, he's drinking constantly, and his boss basically tells him, hey, you need a better outlet, healthier outlet than this.
All right.
Well, then it cuts back to Jason, who receives this random gift box from one of his clients, and it's a box that doesn't open.
Is this a horror movie?
Suspense, thriller.
Yeah.
So we cut back to Zoe, and her roommate's like, come on, why don't you come home with me for Thanksgiving? I hate the thought of you being here on campus all alone. And
she hot?
Who, Zoe or her roommate?
Zoe. I go with her.
Yeah.
Is she blonde?
So, no.
Yeah, I don't know
that. Zoe's like, no, I'm fine. I'm going to do some things, read some stuff. There's something she's excited about because she'll be able to have access to some computer thing or lab on the campus because nobody will be there.
Yeah, women like computers.
So Zoe awakes from a dream about basically a plane crash, which plays in later in the movie. And excuse me, I gotta adjust. We've been sitting here a while. Her roommate's like, "Are you okay?" And Zoe's like, "Yeah." Well, she's getting ready to leave. Her roommate opens the door and she's like, oh, there's a box out here for you, Zoe, and hands it to her. And here, it's the same box Josh got, and it's the same box Ben ends up getting. So there are
some other horror movie I saw, like Valentine or something.
Yeah, this reminded me of a couple other movies as I was watching it.
I got a letter too.
But
I know what
it goes kind of with each of them trying to figure out how to open the box.
The box.
Excuse me. That's the other thing I was thinking of Hellraiser with that. So, but Zoe's like, because she's so like scientific and analytical, like she's drawing as they're doing the box, as she's getting it open.
They're all doing the box. They're doing her box.
So, eventually they all get it open, and it's a an entry to go on a once-in-a-lifetime escape room experience with a chance to win $10,000.
I pass.
So
You ain't gonna win.
it cuts away to Ben is standing outside the building where they need to be for this escape room. And he's smoking, and another character shows up.
Smoking weed.
Amanda? Yeah, I think it's Amanda.
Is it a chick?
Yeah, it's a chick.
call her
And
Hot Chick.
she's like, is this I can't remember the name of the company or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I didn't go in or anything yet. So
Attack me.
Amanda goes ahead and goes in. And when she's registering, the guy at the front desk is like taking he goes, we need your cell phone because we can't have you taking pictures of the puzzles, which that was something we were prompted when I did the escape room, even though we were using ours as flashlights at one point. But he tells her to go ahead, go in the elevator, go to the third floor, and just wait. Well, then as she's getting in the elevator, Mike, another character, comes along, and he's playing like a little portable game system thing. He's like our gaming geek.
Like Game Boy.
And he's like, yeah, I left my one cell phone, but I always bring an extra because I know we're going to be waiting a little bit. So they get up to the third floor, go in this room, and they knock on the window for the receptionist. And she's like, have a seat. Somebody will be with you shortly. And here it turns out Zoe and Josh, I put Ray because I thought his name was Ray for some reason, Jason, are already there. Ben ends up coming in. There's another guy there. I think I have his name written down later. So there's 6 of them total. And they're all talking about who gifted the experience to them. And Mike is asking, have you done other escape rooms? Because he's like a big escape room geek. This is our gamer guy.
Oh, and you lie. You're like, nope.
So Ben's like, okay, if we have time, I'm going to go out and have another smoke. Well, he goes over to open the door, and the handle comes off, and he's like, guys. And Mike's like, oh my God, this is the room. We're already starting. Like he's all, excuse me, into it.
Wow.
So
sounds like it. Chug.
Yeah, because he's like done other rooms.
Chug all that down, we're done.
Yeah, I'll be so bloated. So he's like, okay, we got to figure out this room in order to escape. So they're going around looking for clues and everything else. Eventually, the one other guy finds a screwdriver inside the book of Fahrenheit 451. And Zoe's like, oh, maybe we have to, because there's a dowel where the handle came off. She goes, maybe we have to set it. So she sets it to 451 and the room starts heating up. So they're all like, oh my God. Yeah. She's going, they're all like, okay, it won't shut off. And the room keeps getting hotter and hotter as they go. Well, here they break open the receptionist window and it's a mannequin with a voice recording telling him to sit down. Okay. So eventually the phone rings.
All right.
And Jason answers it. And is saying about, following the rules and everything. And then the phone goes dead and then the windows close and then all those fans start blowing hot air. So Amanda, I thought her skin was burning, but here she has injuries that will be explained later. So they're trying to figure out how to escape the room. And somehow Zoe figures out from something with the clues that the coasters have something to do with it. So there's these 6 coasters on this table. So they start pushing them down and it opens into this escapeway, into a dock. So Jason goes and says, I'm going to go check things out. So he gets down there and he calls to Mike. Mike's the other guy's name. No, maybe. So what is the geek boy's name? I can't remember. Saying he needs the screwdriver because he found a way out. So Mike crawls down. They are trying to figure out who should go next. And they're trying to figure out how to keep the coasters pushed down, because if you let off on one of them, the picture that moved closes down. So they tell Amanda to go, but next, well, Amanda goes and she starts having a flashback. She was in the military, and that's where she got the injuries from. And she was like, she starts freaking out being in this closed space. Well, then they tell Zoe to go next. So Zoe kind of coaches Amanda and gets her to keep going and stop freaking out.
Okay.
Well, the guys figure out, okay, if we start filling glasses from the cooler, it will weigh down the coasters to keep the buttons pushed. Well, here, when they're filling the last cup, there's not enough water. And they're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Somebody's going to have to stay behind. So Ben has a flask and he dumps his liquor in it.
Too bad one of them didn't have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, really. And basically it fills it up and they both escape. And here, as soon as they escape,
What are you doing?
my pants are riding up. The
Jeez.
room becomes engulfed in flames.
Okay.
And all of a sudden they're in this cabin after escaping, which this was a little more elaborate than the escape room I did. So they're in there and they're trying to leave the cabin, but the door's locked and there's some other things that need clues. So they're going, Jason finds a key, but then there's a second lock that has it's a 7-letter word. So
Okay.
Ben has a flashback of being in a car drunk with his friends singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer because he sees the reindeer there's like deer with Dasher and Dancer on the wall and he goes, it's Rudolph. And
Okay.
basically Ben was in an accident and killed everybody but him. So it's Rudolph that opens this door. So they exit and they're like outside this snowy cabin. There's a frozen lake. There's snow everywhere. Then all of a sudden when they leave, the door behind them closes and barricades so they can't go back into the cabin. Danny, that's my geek boy's name. So Danny's kind of checking around like we have to look for clues. We have to figure this stuff out. And then there's a fan that starts blowing cold air, which causes them all to freeze. Eventually they find a box with like a fishing rod and a coat. And Jason looks and goes, where did that coat come from? And they're like, from here, but there's only one. And Amanda starts yelling, yeah, that's real smart, assholes. Make us fight over the jacket when we're going to, she's just trying to say, we're going to outwit all of you. So Jason has a flashback at this point about him and a friend being shipwrecked in the water, but then it's only him that's ended up surviving, which I kind of figured out a little bit what was going on at this point.
Well, that's good because I'm confused.
And so they start sharing the jacket. Zoe's going around. She eventually finds this magnet. They start fishing in this fish hole and find a key that's frozen in a block of ice. So they're like,
Wasn't
okay.
that sunk?
Well, it was sunk. It was at the bottom of this lake.
They happened to find it.
But they were able to find it because the magnet caught onto it.
Wow.
So they find this key that's frozen in this block of ice. Well, Ben's a smoker because they're like trying to figure out how they're going to melt it. And they say, hey, Ben, we need your lighter. Well, he goes and throws his lighter. Danny's like, well, fine, Dick. I'll walk over and get it myself. Well, then Danny ends up crashing through the ice and drowning.
I would have went after it.
Yeah.
Don't even know how to swim.
Yeah. So then everybody, well, no, because he was under this frozen lake and they couldn't break through to find him.
Oh.
So basically he drowns and probably freezes as well.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when everyone starts freaking out. So they're like, oh my God, this is real. So they start blaming Ben for what happened. And like, you're in on this. You're trying to get us all killed. And Ben's like, I have no clue. So basically the temperature continues to drop and they're still trying to figure out how to defrost this key. And they're like, we're going to have to use our body heat. So they're all taking turns holding this block of ice to try to defrost this key so they can escape because Jason found a door earlier. And it goes back to and while this is going on, because they all start kind of freaking out a little bit because they're hallucinating because of the temperature dropping. Jason basically has this flashback about being adrift on the water, and then eventually being rescued. But there's somebody that was wearing the coat that they found, but this person wasn't there like when he was rescued.
Okay.
So they eventually get the key out. They're going to open the door, and the ice starts to crack. So they all have to take off. Meanwhile, they've already lost Danny at this point. They end up inside this room that's a bar, but it's upside down. So the ceiling's on the floor. The floor is on the ceiling. So they're all trying to figure out what's going on. Eventually, there's another phone call. So they get over by where the phone's at, and it's making a fax machine noise. And everyone's like, oh my God, can we shut this up? Well, then it starts playing. I put bad music. I can't remember. It was like some old 50s music or something. So
that's good.
They're trying to figure out the clues again when the floor slash ceiling starts collapsing underneath them. Every time the fax machine noise comes,
How's the ceiling collapse underneath?
well, because the room's upside down, so the ceiling
Oh, yeah, I
is
get it.
collapsing, and they're like,
Yep.
"Oh my god, we need to figure this out." So Amanda eventually shimmies her way over to the bar area, and she's like, "I found a box, but it needs a code." So Zoe's looking around the bar, and she eventually sees a puzzle, one of those moving puzzles, if you've ever done those before. And
Nope.
she goes over and she's trying to figure it out, and she eventually gets it completed. And I think in the middle of all this, Zoe somehow falls off because Mike and Ben get over to her, and there's too much weight on the wall when it starts collapsing, and she falls off and ends up getting briefly knocked out. And basically, Zoe's flashback of what happened to her was she was the lone survivor of a plane crash that killed her mother.
A lot of dead mothers in the reviews
Yeah.
you've done.
So eventually they get it figured out. They're trying to put the code in. And Zoe says, put it in backwards because the room's upside down, and it opens. And here it's because Mike said something about the 8-ball being missing off the pool table. And here it's the 8-ball, but it's to be screwed in to be a knob.
Yeah.
So Amanda's trying to get back over to him. She ends up dropping it on the last part of the ceiling that's left. So they're like, Amanda, don't worry about it. We'll figure out something else. Well, she drops down on the floor, throws the 8-ball to Jason, and the fax noise comes about, and then the floor drops, but she's holding on to the phone cord. So they're trying to figure out at this point I spit on the screen. They're trying to
3D.
figure out how to rescue her. And she basically goes, it's okay, don't worry about it. And she lets herself drop and lets herself die. So basically, once they're able to all escape, the 4 of them that are left, they end up in this hospital room that's set up like different hospital rooms from different places.
Okay.
So what it is each of these people were the lone survivor of a certain accident, is what it comes down to. Because
sounds like something else I saw.
Each of the rooms are set up like, one was set up like Jason's hospital room from when he was rescued from that shipwreck. One was set up like Zoe's from her plane crash. Here it comes up with Mike that what happened with Mike?
The upside down room.
Flashback. Crap, I can't remember what Mike, because Mike's a truck driver now.
Well, you'll fill it in the bottom of the screen.
No, because I don't remember. I don't even have the movie anymore.
Oh, okay.
But Mike was the lone survivor of something, because he's a truck driver now, but he did something else before, and I can't remember.
He was a stalker.
What it was. But anyways, this is where they figured out, because it turned out Danny was, his family, it was carbon monoxide poisoning, and his family was killed, and Amanda was the lone survivor from a IUD attack overseas in the military.
Okay.
So Jason and Ben start fighting, and here they realize if they don't figure out how to escape this room in a certain amount of time, they're going to be poisoned. So they think because they figure out somehow that they think they got to shock and speed somebody's heart up to get the room to cooperate or whatever.
All right.
And Zoe's like, no, we're changing the rules. And she starts going around destroying like the cameras and everything so they can't watch. And then it comes down, they don't need to speed the heart up. They need to slow the heart down. So Jason somehow trained himself to slow his heart down, and they're able to escape. But Mike ends up getting shocked to death from earlier because they were using, the shockers. You guys know what I'm talking about. And Ben's trying to get Zoe to come with them. And Zoe's like, no, I'm done. I'm staying. And so we assume Zoe gets poisoned.
Okay.
So Ben and Jason are in this next room, and it's really, really trippy because there's all it's real. I had trouble watching this part. Ben and Jason are arguing again, and Jason goes on about survival being a choice, not a luck of the draw, basically. And Ben, I think, figures out that Jason actually killed his friend when they were shipwrecked and everything. And that's when Jason goes on about survival being a choice. So basically what it comes down to, then they are opening this hatch they think they need to open to escape. And basically this hatch is poisoned. And they're like, the antidote's in the room. You need to find it. So they're fighting each other trying to find it. Well, Ben eventually, he does find it, but there's only one dose.
This so like Saw. This so
So
sounds like Saw.
that's a little bit
Sorry.
along that lines. But
Too many S's.
so basically they're fighting over it. Eventually Ben pushes Jason, he smacks his head off the table and it kills him, and then Ben takes the antidote. So basically then we're back at the start of the movie where Ben falls through the ceiling and he's trying to escape, and we thought he got crushed to get death because he didn't figure out the code to
3
escape.
days later.
Yeah. So we're
Gotcha.
back at present from the beginning.
Gotcha.
And what it is wait, and it ends like it just shows the room collapsing and we think Ben's dead. Well, the room that Zoe died in and Mike died in, these two people enter to clean up. And they're looking, they're like, there's the oxygen mask, which they did show Zoe was moving towards that. And they're like, what was that for? And she goes to stay alive. And she like knocks these two people out and takes the gun and shoots them and escapes.
Cool.
So we go back to Ben, and basically what Ben does in the room that's collapsing, there's a fireplace. So he takes something and blocks himself in the fireplace, and he ends up not getting crushed. And he escapes to this open warehouse area where there is the game master watching.
The game master?
Game.
Oh, so you say
that's the person who is in charge of the hotel, the escape room. Because you can ask him for so many clues and everything.
Is he an old guy?
He was an older guy.
So Saw.
And he's going on about how Ben was a long shot. You know, nobody thought he would escape. His money was on Jason. And he's saying about he won. And this game master's going on about how he plans the game for all his customers and how every year, and they do different themes. And the theme for this year's escape room was Soul Survivors, to figure out who was the ultimate survivor.
Okay.
So Ben's like, okay, I won, so I can get out of here. Well, the game master starts strangling Ben because he's like, no, you can't escape because we killed all these people and nobody can know about it. Well, then Zoe shows up. She overrode the system, kills the game master, and they basically escape. So later it shows Ben and Zoe at the hospital. Zoe apparently reported everything to the police. So the police are like, okay, come on, we're going to go back to this warehouse. And here, when they get back there, everything's gone. And it just looks like an abandoned warehouse with that's been vandalized and everything. And Zoe's like, no, this was, and she's explaining, and the police are like, there's nothing here. So basically, at this point, she thinks she's going crazy, but she sees some things that indicate it was there. So then we go 6 months later.
Oh, jeez.
Ben and Zoe are meeting up. Ben's kind of gotten his life on track. Zoe has kind of still been researching everything that happened, trying to figure out where the game's showing up next. And Ben's like, just let it go. We survived.
Yep.
It's over and done with. Let's move on with our lives. But Zoe said, because of her drawing out the box and everything, she's like, it's coordinates. So she says she found where the next game is. It's going to be in New York, and she wants Ben to go with her. And he's like, fine, we'll go.
I wouldn't go.
So basically it ends that there's a game going on in this plane, and it's like, oh, okay, this is the next game. Well, here, what it is they realize Zoe is going to be flying. Her and Ben are going to be on this plane, and they want to eliminate them. So they're trying to set up a game that's going to happen on the flight.
Sequel.
And that's when it ends. So, this did remind me. I mean, I liked it. A lot of people, I think this got a little bit of slack from some of the reviews I watched.
You like a lot of stuff.
Well, no, I think I liked it just because it was like the puzzling, the figuring out,
you liked it because it was like Saw.
Yeah, it was along that lines. And it also reminded me of, what was that one movie Rob Zombie did? 31? Where they had the game every year and everybody had to escape. So
we should watch that.
It was reminding me of that as well. And a couple other ones I really can't think of. Probably something with the Saw and everything. But like I said, I will watch it. I will watch it again. Because I'm sure there's things I missed and everything. But I would definitely watch it again. The way it ended, yeah, there could be a sequel developed. But like I said, it did remind me of a few other movies. So that's probably why I enjoyed it. But that's it for this review. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell icon so you know when I post new content. Are you done?
Yep.
Share the page. I'd be greatly appreciated. Me too. Subscribers, thank you. You guys are awesome. Appreciate it. My watchers, I appreciate you as well.
Yep.
Amazon wishlist is posted if you want to help us out. Comment if there's a movie you want us to review. If I can't locate it, if I add it, it'd be awesome if you got it for us.
Cool.
Check out my other channel, K-Doll Games, Toys, and More, Toy and Game Reviews. This guy's over there on occasion.
I'm there all the time. Very happy.
That's it. Because we're done. I'll
Yep.
see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.